Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first story is titled, You Do Need to Be Physically Present When Your Daughter is Swimming in the Pool. A very good friend of mine recently got on a plane with her 3 boys, 8, 9, and 10, by herself to visit with grandma for a month over summer vacation. I was on transport duty because driving to and from the airport is a young man's game, and also I love spending time with my homies. There was an accidentally on purpose scheduling issue, namely my friend wanted a day in a hotel to recuperate from the flight with her 3 boys before her mom starts driving her insane. Husband is coming up in a few weeks because he just started a new job and can't just be like, back in a month. So I snatch all 4 people and luggage from the airport and give them a lift to the hotel. All 3 boys are bouncing off the walls and my friend just needs a nap. So, hotel pool time. She's posted up under an umbrella and is dead to the world. I'm in the pool with the boys. We started off playing Marco Polo and then had to get creative once other folks were in the pool as well. Eventually we settled on a game called Not Done Yet. Basically I'm standing on one side of the steps out of the pool and when the boys feel like it they try and leave the pool. I decide if they're done or not yet using a complicated examination process that amounts to picking the kid up, giving them a bit of a shake, faking a big sniff, say, not done yet, and yeet them back into the pool. Obviously, if someone's waterlogged or actually wants out, I won't stop them, but typically there's giggling and a bit of cue for inspection, so the game continues. I get a workout, they get tired out, everybody wins. Then a new player enters the playing field in the form of a very sweet-looking girl, approximately 6 years old, wearing water wings. She asks if she can play too. I say, of course she can, but she needs to ask whoever's watching her first so I know it's okay with everyone. She says, okay, and exits the pool. I'm keeping an eye on where she's going so I can smile and give the I'm not a creep wave to whoever's minding the kid. Only, she doesn't run to one of the adults on the lounge chairs, she runs back into the hotel dripping wet. She disappears inside and comes back down about 5 minutes later and says, Mommy says it's okay. Only she's not the type of kid who lies without batting an eye and is obviously fibbing. I ask if she really did, and the little girl says, well, Mommy was busy, so I think it's okay. It's at this point that the proverbial record scratches and my inner monologue says, what? I summon the oldest of the boys from the waterborne shenanigans and ask him to go wake up his mom so she can keep an eye on things for a minute. I need to go take care of something. While he's bearding the dragon in her den, I crouch down and tell the little girl, we need to go inside and find an adult because it's not okay that you're in the pool all by yourself, okay? You didn't do anything wrong, but you've got some growing to do before you can be in the pool all by yourself, okay? At this point, oldest homie has awoken the mom and she's now looking at me with a what the crap look on her face. I mouth later at her and then take the little girl's hand and bring her to the concierge desk of the hotel. I explain the situation with the little girl to the concierge whose face goes from confusion to pained before giving the girl a smile and thanking me for bringing this to his attention. Concierge guy takes responsibility for the girl and I go back out to the pool to explain what had happened to my friend. She was livid on the little girl's behalf, but mostly just wanted to resume her nap. Conveniently, at that time, middle homie had gotten out of the pool and was making faces at us while we were talking. I told friend to get some sleep, I'll watch the boys. Then middle homie got spear tackled back into the water because actions have consequences. Maybe 20 minutes to half an hour later, once I was starting to run out of steam, I sensed a disturbance in the force. A rather irate woman wearing a blouse that was inside out was dragging the little girl from before out to the pool area and demanding to know who told her she couldn't swim. The little girl, who was now silent with tears on her cheeks and a pathetically deflated water wing, pointed at me. I was instructed to get my ass out of the pool and explain myself. Why on earth was it so hard to watch an extra child while she got some adult time to herself? Why did I insist on ruining her first chance to get away from it all in months? Her little girl is an angel and it's no trouble to watch, blah blah blah. I explained that it wasn't a good idea to leave a little one in a pool with no adult supervision, pointing to a number of signs about no lifeguard on duty, all children must be accompanied by an adult, etc, etc. Inside Out Lady is getting steadily more belligerent, explaining like I'm slow that her daughter knows how to swim and was wearing floaties and would have been fine. She's getting more and more in my face, trying to act like I'm just the worst for ruining everything. And then player 3 enters the fight. It's my friend, and she's fresh out of fluffs to give. She starts reading Inside Out Lady, the riot act, demanding to know how she could be so stupid and irresponsible, and how dare she try and act like I'm the bad guy here. Inside Out Lady opens her mouth to reply and just gets steamrolled. Just look at your daughter. See what you've done? Appeared to finally get through to the woman because she looks down at her daughter, then back up to my friend. There's a flicker of shame on her face, and then it's all rage, and she swung. I am not ashamed to admit that stepping between those two without backup seemed like a poor life choice. I stopped the boys before they could get caught in the crossfire, told them to take a step back, and when several hotel employees came out to break up the fight, I stepped in. I grabbed my friend and pulled her back while two guys from the hotel grabbed the other woman. The combatants are separated and the police are called. Myself and my friend are back at her lounge chair with a large first aid kit the hotel staff gave us while the boys hover and make sure mom's okay. She's sporting a magnificent shiner from the first punch and a couple other scrapes and bruises, but mostly seems livid that she got cold-clocked like that. Police arrive and get the story from everyone, even tangentially involved. We wind up being asked to provide contact information to the police. My friend declines a check over by an EMT, saying she's fine, just sore. The story Inside Out lady provided didn't match up at all with what the hotel cameras showed, and she got some shiny bracelets put on her before getting shoved in the back of a squad car. My friend said she would be delighted to press charges for assault and was told the police would be in touch. Once the police were satisfied, it was definitely time to retreat to the hotel room. I got dressed and left for the evening after making sure everybody was okay, and on the way out, I asked one of the front desk folks what happened with the woman and her daughter. The woman was arrested and the girl's father came to get her. They couldn't give me any more information than that. Hope she's okay. The next story is titled, My Garden Destroyed by HOA Neighbor's Illegal Pool on Our Shared Lawn. Living in an HOA can be both a blessing and a curse, and I always thought I was lucky because I never had any major issues with them. However, when my neighbor moved in, I realized that his self-centered nature and his desire to one-up me could lead to potential problems. At first, his attempts to measure both of our properties seemed harmless, but as time went on, it became apparent that he was just trying to prove he had more land than me. While I didn't think it was a big deal, it was clear that my neighbor had a need to feel superior to me, which led to bigger problems down the line. Our driveways were slanted due to the hill on which our land was situated, and when my neighbor wanted to make his less steep, I thought it was a good idea. However, he went about it in a way that caused water to filter into my land. At first it wasn't too bad, but it soon became apparent that this was going to cause issues for me. I was concerned, but since it was legally done, I couldn't do anything about it. The real problems began when my neighbor decided to build a pool on our shared lawn without any permit or permission from the HOA. At first I thought it was innocent enough, but it quickly became apparent that my neighbor was using my property to build his pool without my consent. Not only was this illegal, but it also led to severe damage when a storm hit. During the storm, the pool flooded and quickly started to destroy my garden. To make matters worse, the water picked up my car and started carrying it towards the main road. I felt powerless and there was nothing I could do to stop the water from destroying my property. After the storm, I was devastated to see the damage caused by the flood. Everything in my garden was ruined and my car was totaled. I knew I had to do something to get justice, so I reported the illegal pool to the city code enforcement and informed the HOA about the damage to my house caused by my neighbor's driveway repair. My neighbor was forced to remove the pool and pay a huge fine to the HOA, but he refused to take responsibility for the damage he caused to my property. That's when I decided to take him to court and present evidence of his wrongdoing. It wasn't an easy process, but I knew I had to fight for my rights. In the end, my neighbor was ordered to pay for the yard repair and the value of my car. I was relieved that I had finally gotten justice, but I wasn't done yet. I wanted to teach my neighbor a lesson, so I decided to build a pool right in front of his house. I knew he couldn't do anything about it since I followed all the necessary procedures and got all the permits. When my neighbor saw my new pool, he was furious. I could tell he was jealous and couldn't stand the fact that I had something he couldn't. He continued to brag about his property, but deep down I knew he was envious of my new pool. I thought my revenge was complete, but I was wrong. My neighbor decided to retaliate and filed a complaint with the HOA about my pool, claiming it was causing damage to his property. I knew it wasn't true since I made sure to build it safely and legally, but he was determined to get back at me. I had to go through a long and arduous process of proving that my pool wasn't causing any damage, but in the end, I won the case. My neighbor was forced to stop making false claims, and I was relieved that my new pool wasn't going to cause any further problems. It's been a few years since the HOA has put a stop to my neighbor's attempts to sabotage my pool, and I can finally enjoy it without any worries. My neighbor still glares at my pool every time he walks by, but I don't let it bother me anymore. In fact, I've even made a few new friends in the neighborhood who love coming over to swim in my pool. As time went on, I started to notice something strange happening. My neighbor was spending more time than usual outside of his house, and he was always staring at my pool. It was almost like he was planning something, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. One day I came home from work and found something disturbing in my backyard. My pool had been drained and there was a sign next to it that said, "This pool is a nuisance and a danger to the neighborhood. It must be removed immediately." I was shocked and furious. I knew my neighbor was behind this, but I had no proof. I immediately called the HOA and the police to report the vandalism. They investigated the matter, and after a few days, they found out that my neighbor was indeed responsible for the vandalism. It turned out that he was jealous of my pool and couldn't stand the fact that I had something he couldn't. He thought that if he got rid of my pool, he would be the most popular person in the neighborhood. The HOA fined him heavily for the vandalism, and he was also ordered to pay for the damages to my pool. He never apologized, but I knew that he had learned his lesson. He never bothered me or my pool again, and I could finally enjoy it in peace. A few months later, I received some exciting news. A film production company was interested in using my pool as a location for their new movie. They were offering me a significant amount of money for the use of my pool, and I couldn't say no. The movie was a hit, and my pool became famous overnight. People from all over the country wanted to come and see it, and I even started getting fan mail. It was surreal, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Today, my pool is still a popular location for movies and TV shows. I've even been approached by some celebrities who want to use it for their private parties. It's hard to believe that something that caused me so much trouble in the past has now become a source of joy and pride. As for my neighbor, he moved away a few years ago. I don't know where he went, but I wish him all the best. I learned that revenge is never the answer, and sometimes it's best to let go of grudges and move on. I'm just grateful that I was able to turn a negative situation into something positive, and I hope that my pool will continue to bring joy and happiness to people for many years to come. The last story is titled, "Neighbors Used My Property as Their Own. Paid for New Fence." I recently bought a house and have been having some work done before I move in. It was empty on the market for about 6 or 8 months before I bought it. One morning I got a call from my contractor asking me about moving the cars in the driveway, and of course I had no idea what he was talking about. I hadn't moved in yet. I left my job site and drove nearly a half hour to get there. As soon as I arrived, the people on the east side of me were walking towards the cars. I asked if they were their cars, and they said yes. They told me that they had been parking there for a few months with permission from the owners. I informed them that I was the new owner and they can't park there any longer. We went back and forth, and with the intention of being a good neighbor and trying to show some goodwill, I agreed to allow them to park there for a few more weeks until I move in, with the agreement that they would move them by 6 a.m. every morning. The rest of the week went by without incident. The contractor called me about scheduling a walkthrough on Saturday, and we set a time for early afternoon. When I arrived, there were 4 cars in the driveway and nowhere to park. The only on-street parking is 2 blocks away. I called them and asked them to move their vehicles, reminding them of our agreement. After 20 minutes, they finally came out and moved them. Speaking with them, they claimed to have misunderstood and thought our agreement only referred to weekdays and not weekends. I corrected them and moved on. Sunday morning, I grabbed a trailer and loaded some furniture to take over and store in the garage. Once again, there were cars in the driveway. I called them and got VM. I texted and said they had until a tow truck could arrive to get them moved. No answer. I called a tow company. 45 minutes later, 2 tow trucks showed up, backed in, and hooked up to the cars. All of a sudden, the neighbors were home. They ran out to stop their cars from being towed, and it ended up costing them a little over $300 to get them unhooked. I called my contractor and asked if he knew someone who could put in a driveway gate, and he did. I let the neighbors know that they could no longer use my driveway. On Wednesday, I get a call from the gate installer telling me that there are cars in the driveway. I called them and said tow trucks are on the way. They moved. The gate was installed and I went by to pick up the opener that evening. The neighbor's husband came out to confront me and I opted to just call the PD and deal with it legally. That Saturday, I went by to accept an outdoor furniture delivery and check on things when I noticed a towel beside the pool and a small kid's flotation device. My initial thought was that I just hadn't noticed it before, so I wrote it off and threw them both in the trash. On Saturday, the movers arrived with everything and we began moving things in. About 7 p.m., my daughter and I left to go grab some dinner, arriving back at the house around 9:30 p.m. The neighbors were in my pool. They were hanging out and using my furniture. When I opened the door and began raising hell, they told the kids to go to the house and the children ran to a corner of our fence and just walked through. They had cut out the privacy fence so it could be removed and had been using the pool at their leisure for who knows how long. Again, I called the police and filed a complaint. The dad was arrested for trespassing, DPP, and an outstanding warrant, and the oldest boy, 20M, for an outstanding warrant. I replaced the fence with a new one because they had destroyed the posts, runners, and pickets by removing and reinstalling the panel. Small Claims awarded me the total cost of 83 feet of 8-foot privacy fence, which came out to $3,800. The following Monday morning around 5 a.m., their cars were parked in the street where there's no street parking, so I made a phone call. They were gone when I left at 7 a.m. I haven't been paid yet, but I did notice a for rent sign in their yard this morning, so that's just as good. Good riddance. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.